Chromosomal disorders are a type of genetic disorder that develop because of a change in one or more of an individual's genes. Chromosomes are part of the DNA cells that contain genes. Any changes in an individual's chromosomes could cause a chromosomal disorder. Chromosomal disorders can either occur by chance or be inherited from a child's parents. When a chromosome is not in a pair, this can only occur by chance. However, when changes in a DNA structure occur, this can either be by chance or through inheritance. Changes in the structure occur when sections break apart and don't come back together in the original form. There are 4 main types of structural chromosomal mutations: deletion, duplication, inversion, and translocation. Deletion occurs when a portion of the chromosome is deleted out completely. Inversion occurs when the genetic information is essentially flipped in the opposite direction. Duplication is when a portion of the chromosomal material is repeated. And translocation is when a piece or pieces of a chromosome break off and attach to another chromosome completely. One of the main risk factors for chromosomal disorders occurring by chance is increased maternal age at the time of conception. This is because the quality of a mother's eggs decreases over time. One example of chromosomal disorders is Down syndrome, or trisomy 21. Trisomy 21 occurs when there is an extra chromosome on the 21st pair. Maternal age is an example of the risk for Down syndrome occurring by chance. In women under the age of 30, there is about a 1 in 1,250 chance versus a 1 in 100 chance at age 40. Down syndrome has a range of characteristics and expressions that can include intellectual disability, specific facial features, poor muscle tone, possible problems with heart, digestion, as well as hearing. Oftentimes, children with Down syndrome require physical and occupational as well as speech therapy, as well as additional educational and medical interventions as needed. In about 5% of Down syndrome cases, there are 2 other types of Down syndrome expressions that can occur. The first is called mosaic Down syndrome. This is when trisomy 21 isn't present in all of the body's cells. So essentially, it is a partial expression of Down syndrome. There's also translocation Down syndrome, when a full or partial copy of chromosome 21 actually attaches to a different chromosome, typically chromosome 14 instead of chromosome 21. Regardless of how the Down syndrome is presented and expressed, early intervention for young children is key to promoting optimal growth and development. Klinefelter syndrome is another chromosomal disorder that affects biological males. Klinefelter syndrome occurs when there is an extra chromosome on the 23rd pair or the biological sex chromosomes. Diagnosis usually doesn't happen until later in life when investigating infertility issues. However, some characteristics of Klinefelter syndrome include small genitalia, enlarged breast, reduced facial, armpit, and pubic hair, as well as possible autoimmune disorders. Klinefelter syndrome can be treated with testosterone therapy and medical intervention as needed. The female version of Klinefelter syndrome is Turner syndrome, where the biological female is missing partially or in totality an X chromosome. Turner syndrome affects about 3% of all biological female babies that are conceived. However, of this 3%, only about 1% of those female fetuses will survive to delivery. If the newborn survives delivery, there is a reduced life expectancy by about 13 years and an increased risk for heart disease and type 2 diabetes long term. Physical characteristics of Turner syndrome include a shorter stature, webbing of the neck, lack of development of ovaries that result in a lack of sexual maturation at puberty. Therefore, administration of growth hormone as well as estrogen replacement therapy are required as treatments for many of the symptoms that females born with Turner syndrome experience. Turner syndrome is one of the few chromosomal disorders that occurs randomly and is not linked to maternal age. Fragile X syndrome is a chromosomal disorder affected by one gene segment on the X chromosome that ends up repeated 200 times versus between 5 and 40 times. It typically occurs on the CCG gene, though it's responsible for making a protein needed for brain development. When an individual has Fragile X syndrome, they are not making this protein. Fragile X syndrome can affect both males and females, but it is more likely to impact males because of the pairing between the X and the Y chromosomes. Some physical characteristics of Fragile X syndrome include a narrow face, larger head and ears, flexible joints, flat feet, and a prominent forehead. Fragile X syndrome impacts development through intellectual and learning disabilities that include distractibility and impulsivity. Oftentimes, early intervention and special education is supplemented with treatment for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.